Hello everyone, welcome to the U.S. Immigration Hub. U.S. Congress has just passed one of the most sweeping and controversial immigration laws in modern American history. This isn't another policy debate or a symbolic political gesture. This is a complete restructuring of how the United States views non-citizens, how violations are punished, and how immigration courts operate. The aftershocks of this law will reach every corner of the country, affecting families, students, workers, and communities that depend on immigrant contributions. In this video, we break down exactly what the new law means, why it passed so quickly, and what you must do right now to protect yourself if you are not a U.S. citizen. Historic bipartisan reform. For decades, immigration reform was frozen in political deadlock. Democrats and Republicans rarely agreed on basic principles, let alone major reform. But this year, something unprecedented happened, under pressure from voters demanding action on border control and national security. Congress came together in a way almost no one predicted. What makes this moment especially significant is the political climate. With President Donald Trump back in the White House since January 20th, immigration was guaranteed to take center stage. What no one expected was how decisively both parties moved to support a massive overhaul. Analysts say this shift was driven by a combination of mounting public pressure, rising concerns about public safety, and a desire for lawmakers to show tangible results early in the administration. The result, the toughest, most far-reaching immigration law in decades. A new national framework, citizens first, non-citizens second. One of the most controversial foundations of the new law is the reclassification of everyone who is not a U.S. citizen. Under the new legal framework, all non-citizens, temporary workers, international students, long-term residents, and even green card holders are placed in the same broad category. This means one harsh reality. Non-citizens now carry far fewer protections than before. Imagine being a software engineer on an H-1B visa with a mortgage, a graduate student diligently working toward their PhD, or a permanent resident who has called America home for 20 years. All of them suddenly are subject to the same heightened standards and, well, severe consequences. For green card holders, the message is especially shocking. Your status is no longer the shield it once was. The harshest shift here is that DUI equals deportation. Nothing in the new law has sparked more panic and debate than this rule. One DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony, now triggers mandatory deportation. This includes first-time offenses, old offenses, cases resolved with a plea deal, and even incidents where no conviction occurred but an admission was made. DUI involving alcohol or drugs, it all counts. Yes, you heard that correctly. Under the new law, simply admitting to driving under the influence, even if it happened years ago, can initiate removal proceedings. Previously, judges had discretion. They could weigh your character, your family ties, your contributions to society, or whether the DUI was minor, but that discretion is now gone. Judges are legally required to issue removal orders when a DUI is present. Immigration attorneys are already calling this a zero-tolerance crackdown, unlike anything we've seen before. Expanded inadmissibility rules. The law's second major pillar involves inadmissibility. Any DUI offense now makes a non-citizen inadmissible to the United States. This means you can be denied entry at the airport. You can be prevented from boarding a flight back to the U.S. A border agent can review your past record and refuse re-entry on the spot. Even traveling for work, family emergencies, or religious purposes becomes dangerous if you have a DUI in your history. One of the most alarming aspects is that even individuals who have paid their fines, completed programs, or stayed out of trouble for decades may now find themselves stranded outside the United States with no path back. Tougher deportation rules. The new law removes the distinction between misdemeanor and felony DUI offenses. Both are equally deportable. State differences no longer matter. A DUI treated lightly in one state is now an automatic trigger for federal removal nationwide. Immigration courts are expected to see a surge of cases, and the law ensures that judges cannot consider waivers or humanitarian arguments that were previously available. In short, if there is a DUI, removal is almost unavoidable. Why the crackdown? Lawmakers who support the law argue that DUIs cause thousands of injuries and fatalities each year, and that public safety must be the top priority. They believe that strict consequences will deter dangerous behavior among non-citizens and reinforce the importance of personal responsibility. Critics argue the opposite, that the law is too broad, too unforgiving, and punishes people who made isolated mistakes long ago. They warned that it will uproot families, drive away skilled workers, and harm industries that depend on immigrants. Whether justified or not, the law focuses on one message: zero tolerance. Naturalization just became harder. The good moral character requirement for citizenship has been significantly tightened. Under the new framework, a DUI is no longer a temporary obstacle. It is a lasting mark that can block naturalization indefinitely. This means many permanent residents will never qualify for citizenship. Past DUIs create permanent bars. No waivers, no exceptions. The dream of becoming a United States citizen is now far more difficult for millions. Green card no longer a shield. Perhaps the most devastating shift is the collapse of long-held assumptions. For years, green card holders believed they were secure from removal unless they committed serious crimes. That security has vanished. A single DUI can now result in revocation of your green card, placement into removal proceedings, and loss of your permanent residency. The stability that permanent residents relied on is now far more fragile. Law and order versus opportunity. Although the law introduces new immigration pathways and streamlining measures, these are, honestly, overshadowed by the severity of enforcement. The message is unmistakable. Opportunity is conditional, and compliance must be absolute. For many immigrants, one mistake, one moment of poor judgment can erase years of investment, sacrifice, and hope. What comes next? Legal experts believe this law is only the beginning. With bipartisan support established, Congress may revisit additional offenses, reclassify new misdemeanors as deportable crimes, or strengthen the good moral character standard even further. For now, one thing is clear: non-citizens are being held to the strictest standards in modern U.S. history. Final warning for immigrants: if you are not a U.S. citizen, speak to an immigration attorney immediately if you have any past legal issues. Avoid international travel until you know your risks. If eligible, prioritize applying for citizenship as soon as possible. In this new era, the margin for error is gone. One DUI equals deportation. One DUI equals inadmissibility. One DUI equals no path to citizenship. The truth is, this law marks a turning point that will define the future of immigration in America. Not just legally, but culturally. It signals a shift toward a system in which behavior, compliance, and risk are weighted more heavily than contribution or intent. For millions of immigrants, this moment is more than a policy change. It's a reminder that their place in the country they call home can be reshaped overnight by decisions made far above their heads. If this video helped for you, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon for new updates news. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.